Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Late night session discussing the Salaf, right? And what was really to him, and in a good light, possibly may dispel some misconceptions, possibly. But I was saying how in one of my videos, like, you have all these different Aqidah books, like the Aqidah of this Imam, the Aqidah of this Imam. So a great book in English is called, and some people may have this book, but it's a good book to read. I'm going to be honest, I don't feel like it's for everybody, because some people don't really understand. Like, it's for everybody, but some people will look at it as a book that you just read. This is a book that you really can study, and it bring a better comprehension of the Salaf and what was going on. Like, you really kind of need other knowledge to help you better understand this knowledge, right? But they basically went through the treaties of like 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Like 12 different scholars from the past. Okay? Fourth generation. But all of them referred to as being mountains of knowledge. And I know this close-up ain't gonna do any good, but right here, even one of the people who name on it, y'all see that right there? This is the person who started the Ash'ari Creed, Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari. And so what they did was took from their treaties, from their actual writings and their works, and translated little things and put it in here, and translated it into English. But I want to read a little bit to show how they looked at the deen and how they carried things. And then you could see where some people, if they don't have other knowledge to go with it, they may treat this knowledge the wrong way. They may treat this knowledge the wrong way. And alhamdulillah, man. And let me say this before I read this little bit to it, because it's very important. As Muslims, right? Real Muslims, we have to understand that it isn't from what Allah tells us. It isn't in Allah's plan for everybody in this whole entire world to be on a straight path. Because some people aren't going to choose the straight path, and some people are going to be tricked by Shaitan, and some people is going to earn Allah's punishment in this earth. Now, we may see some Muslims going through some things, but Allah might be blessing them with the highest levels of Jannah. But then at the same time, you know, for instance, Muslims overseas that's in war-torn countries, and what's going on with them, man, they might be getting some of the best, highest levels of Jannah. We don't know. But then at the same time, they may be, because we know that they Muslims and we know that they over there. But, and I hate to speak this way because it's not for everybody not ready to hear these words. They might be up on a whole bunch of shirk. You don't know the conditions of their belief system and what they're doing. You know, they might have a lot of different sexual deviancies and things going on? We don't know. But they Muslims and we feel for them, so we gonna think the best. Allah blessing them people with Jannah. But when it comes to us, because you have a lot of non-Muslims, just to kill this argument, because you have a lot of non-Muslims that's African American, you can't let people get it in your heart by saying Islam isn't working for black people. Because for the black people, Americans that embrace Islam and practice Islam properly, it works for them. Even the ones who embrace it and they may not practice it, it still changed them in some way, shape, or form. Because you have people who say Islam not working for black people, but it's based off of a bunch of black people that's not Muslim. A bunch of kuffar. A bunch of people that worship a picture of a person, a statue of a person, and promote our way is the way for them, but your way ain't saving them either, because they haven't accepted that and they really haven't saved y'all. Just like, I'm not going to go too in depth with it, because you have these people, man, who don't understand. And like the brother said in my comment, he gonna say I can pray to Allah, my spook Allah, but then turn around and say Allah, all praise is due to Allah, who came in a person of Fard Muhammad. So I sat down with one of them and I said to him, Nation of Islam guy, now I'm going to be honest, because it's just like anything else. I don't know if he was a real temple member, card carrying, learned the lessons, Nation of Islam person, because right now anybody can claim anything. But I had a discussion with him. He claimed to be in the fold. I don't believe him because I know the lessons. But I said to him, do you believe that Prophet Muhammad was a prophet? He said, yeah, we taught to believe that. I said, did Prophet Muhammad believe in Allah? He said, yeah. I said, so the Allah that Prophet Muhammad believed in is a spook? Or was that Fard Muhammad? Did Prophet Muhammad believe in a spook? Well, he was a prophet, but there was another messenger that came after him. Like basically, since there's a new messenger, there's a new message that overrides what Prophet Muhammad came with. But like all the other religions before, you could still take from the message of Prophet Muhammad. You could still take from the Bible, and you could still take from these other things, right? So I said, okay, so y'all believe in the 5 pillars? You accept the 5 pillars? Zakat, Shahada, and all this stuff? Yeah, I accept that. I said, so when you make Salah, who are you worshiping? Fard Muhammad? Are you worshiping Allah in person, who's no longer here, who you claim to be Allah in person? Or are you worshiping a spook? When you fast for Ramadan, who is you fasting to please? Fard Muhammad or a spook? He was confused. He was confused. And you know what he said? I ain't even gonna say what he said, because it was too disrespectful. But y'all already know. But then I say to him, we'll just leave that part alone. You teach that the black man is God, and you want me to believe that the black man is God. This is what you want me to understand, that the black man is God, the white man is the devil. He said, yeah. I said, man, what color is Fard Muhammad? Why is he not a devil? And how, if the black man is God, how is this white person Allah in person? See, y'all look to these Christian people and say, look at you with that white, blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus on the wall, talking a picture of him on your wall as your God. But you also got a picture of a white man on your wall, talking about he's Allah in person. But the black man is God, and then you want to quote some Bible verses in it. But like the Bible verse that I read in my video from Romans, where it said they took man, the images of man, and replaced the creator with the images of man. You say that they got a white God, a white man as a God, but so do you. What color is he? If the black man, and you teaching that the black man is God, but you saying the white man taught you this. Okay? And then you want to say Allah is a spook and he's Allah in person, right? He's Allah in person, but you claim you make salat, which he said he only makes salat 3 times a day. Are you praying? Are you making salat worshiping for Muhammad? Allah in person. Before Allah had to exist before Far Muhammad. This is what I asked him. Allah exists before Far Muhammad, right? Yeah, of course. He just came in a person of Far Muhammad. So what was Allah before he came in a person of Far Muhammad? A spook? This is y'all teachings. And you want anybody who don't agree with this, because it doesn't make any sense. Just because y'all have on suits and y'all talk eloquently doesn't mean you kicking the hot. People in the church wear suits. Businessmen who do business, they wear suits. They talk eloquent. That don't mean they not ripping you off. The presentation is the overlay for the underlay. And y'all feel like Islam isn't bearing no fruit for black Muslims, African American Muslims, because you talking about all the kafirs that's running around. When Islam is working fine for us. The only problem is, not the only, but one of the major problems is black people who come to the deen thinking Islam is what y'all talking about, and it's not. And now they can't grasp real Islam because all of this malarkey from y'all mouth is embedded in their brain. So when I address it, it's to address, get that up out of y'all, man. We need to move forward. All these little fake spookisms, this was what holding you back, man, that stuff is a myth. Because half of that stuff they claim hold you back is really a head start for you. For anybody that qualifies. Oh, the prison is a pipeline. It's a pipeline. I mean, school is a pipeline to prison. Yet they tell each other you need to get a college education. Or you need to come to our schools and get our teachings. It's still school. You still teaching them that you still giving them the exact same education. Because you have to comply with the district. Even when you homeschool, you have to comply with the districts in your city. Okay? It's the same education. Now you may be able to add to that, but just like when our kids go to school, that stuff that you add, and we can also add to that. Our parents just falling short in that. Like I'll tell y'all something, like a person who they don't talk about in black history is a man named Moses Dixon. He was a Mason. Now if we say, man, they don't teach no black history, how they gonna teach what they don't know? Oh man, they ain't teaching us about this one. They ain't teaching us about that one. They don't know about this one or about that one. Where the books at? Where they gonna get the education to teach about this one or about that one? And then knowing about this one and knowing about that one, how does it guarantee you some type of financial literacy or this, that, and the third? See, sometimes, man, when people pull the wool over your eyes, you can't see them clearly, man. You gonna tell me that the black man is God and a white man is the devil, but the same white man who taught you is Allah in person? And then you can't really dupe me because I know the lessons. See, a lot of this stuff is easy to talk to about people because they it's a mystery to them. They just see people who presenting themselves properly. Oh man, they talk about a whole lot of stuff good for the black man. You can say the same thing about people in the church. You really ain't nothing but a regular citizen. Stay out of trouble, go to work, get an education, and take care of your family. That's really it. Everything else is an overlay for an underplay so that the people can be hustled. You got a picture of a white man on your wall talking about this is Allah in person. But then talking about these people who also got a picture of a white man on their wall talking about this is God in person. Y'all see the parallels? You duping them the same way. You just took a page out of their book and we just replaced one white man for another. But anyway, so don't let these people, man, intimidate you. For the ones who I'm speaking to, who's new to the deen and they still in an environment where some of these people are and they dealing with all of these elements. Oh, well, that Islam ain't working for our people. But see, you basing that off of for some people who not Muslim. Why would Islam work for them and they not practicing it? And then you see the Muslims who still in trouble and they still doing all this other type of stuff, and they African American because they haven't embraced real Islam because they so caught up with all this other foolishness that they done heard y'all talking about. You know what I'm saying? Being a civil individual, no matter what race you are, that's just part of being an adult. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to pay y'all to teach me that. But anyway, let me give y'all a little bit about the Salaf, man. Let me give y'all a little bit about the Salaf. And I'm done with the rants and this and that. And like I say, a lot of this is me addressing the people that's in the Zoom. And some people benefit from it. Some people may take it personal, like they feel like I'm speaking to them directly. You're not in the zone. You know what I'm saying? You're not in the zone. So let me give y'all something, man, from the Salaf, right? And how they view things. So like Abu Zura al-Razi, right? Al-Razi and Abu Hatim al-Razi. These was two great imams from the past. Okay? So just like some of the beginning, right? This is from the son of Abu Hatim, right? Abu Muhammad Abdul Rahman, right? I asked my father about Abu Zura and about the madhab of Ahlul Sunnah and about the usul of the religion, the foundations of the religion, and what they found the scholars to be upon in all the different regions, right? And what they themselves believed in as far as creed, as Aqidah, what is their belief system, and from all that they said. So he said, his father told him, Abu Hatim, right? He said, we reached the scholars in all the various regions, Hijaz, Iraq, Shams, Yemen, and it was from their madhab, right, that Iman consisted of both speech and actions. Now, why is this something that was spoke of? Because some people feel like Iman is only belief, what you believe. It doesn't have anything to do with speech, and it doesn't have anything to do with your actions. It's about what you believe. So they're adding this in because from the correct Aqidah, Iman is more than belief. It also includes speech and actions. Okay? So I can believe Allah is real. That means my Iman is right, correct? But the actions with the belief, like making salah, like fasting for Ramadan, okay? Like saying dhikr, like speaking good. I don't believe I have to do none of that. None of that has anything to do with my belief system. I don't have a true understanding of Iman. And this is mentioned because, like I said, some people from different Aqidas to this day, they still like you have some Muslims that have, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but understand that speech and actions is also included in having this proper beliefs. It's about the correct beliefs, the correct speech, and the correct actions, ibadah, deeds. Okay? Now, what he's saying is, this is from the Salaf though. The individuals who learnt from the Rasul, and those individuals who learnt taught others. This is from their point of view. Alright? So you got to see where these breakdowns started to come, where people started to disclude these things. And when you see when people start discluding things that was there, generally is because they have deficiencies in those things. So now they're going to make their Islam normal. They're going to change the deen to fit how they want to act. So then he said, and they also, right? And they also believe that Iman, it increases and it decreases. What caused your Iman to increase and decrease? Good deeds, good actions, good speech cause your Iman to increase. Bad speech, law, right? Bad vow, idle speech, bad deeds, bad actions, sins cause your Iman to decrease. Now, being that it caused your Iman to increase and decrease means what? You have a choice whether you want to do right or whether you want to do wrong. Some people reject these things because they have an incorrect belief about the Qadr. So this is why they're pointing out the belief system, because during this time when they asking these questions, the Muslims are at war over these issues. So that's why I'm saying sometimes you have to have more to understand a book like this. So where it's not just a book that you read. So then it says, and they believe that the Quran is the speech of Allah and is not created in any of its different aspects, because you have 7 qira'ahs. Okay? So they're talking about these was things that was going on amongst the Salaf. Okay? They all didn't agree on everything. Some of them believe that the Quran was created due to them distorting the Quran ayat. So what they do is come through with a little bit of dalil, right, from the Quran ayat, This is why I loved how they used to do. They used to give dalil. So they give dalil from the Quran that says, if, right, if the sea was ink, the whole sea, all of the water was ink for writing the words of my Lord, surely the sea would be exhausted before the words of Allah would be finished. Okay? The Quran is the words of Allah. Right? Now, that is indeed an honorable recital in a book well guarded by Allah, with Allah. But this is just some of the dalil that they go through, that these is the words of Allah. Alright? Now, when it comes to bid'ah, now I want to read a little bit to show where some people, when they don't have the full thing, they get a little out of hand with the people. Daki. Okay. So this little bit right here, when it comes to bid'ah, deviation, and things like this. Because this is where people draw the line with how they want to deal with people. If they can declare you a deviant or they can declare you an innovator, it's up. Because some misread or misunderstand some of the words from the people of the past. So look at this. Abu Muhammad said, and I heard my father saying, and the sign of the people of innovation. So, in this time, not right now, and we talking about, this is around in about the 4th generation when this conversation is happening. Around 4th generation of Islam, right? 4th generation of Muslims. Because you might be next to someone and you can't tell what's to them. Right? So he said one of the signs of the people of innovation is that they revile the people of hadith. One of the signs of an innovator is they only have bad things to say about people that deal with hadiths. They only have bad things to say about hadiths. Hadiths ain't real. Hadith superstition. He don't understand Islam. All he knows is hadith. And some of this stuff has been passed down where you may have people of fiqh who go to school or they fiqh of a madhab that'll say, we don't need hadith. All we need is fiqh. This is an error. This is an error. And when they say all we need is fiqh, they're referring to fiqh of the madhabs a lot of the times. But I'm not saying they're innovators. This speech carried on from innovators. So like I'm saying, so you might have some students in fiqh that might say, we don't need hadith. All you need is fiqh of the all you need is fiqh. Okay? This is a mistake. But in this time, around in this 4th generation, it was the people of innovation. They hated hadith because hadiths proved that they was on actions that didn't come from Quran and Sunnah. That they was up on actions that oppose Quran and Sunnah. So certain people may have read some of this, and now somebody may say, well, we follow the Hanafi madhab. You don't need to read the books of Sahih Bukhari. All you need to do is read this Hanafi madhab book. Some people who don't grasp the understanding will pull this statement and say, oh, you're an innovator. You revile hadiths. No, these individuals, and this isn't everybody, but some of these individuals is just making mistakes because they aren't properly educated. They're just ignorant to the facts. But some people who also ignorant to the facts will start to be harsh upon people that made a mistake. You have a child. Let's say my child come and grab these and throw them across the room and try to break them. That's something he did intentionally. Now let's say he's walking and my child trips and fall and just accidentally knock these and they go across the room. Do I deal with him the same way for what he did on purpose as I deal with him for the mistake that he made? No, I understand you made a mistake. You didn't mean to do that. Be careful when you walk through here. You got to give them the jewels. You know, you may have been, I told you quit running through here. Now you done knock my glasses across the room. Now if he come through them on purpose, something he did intentionally, now the rules of engagement has changed. Some people who don't truly understand, they don't understand the rules of engagement. I'm finna engage this person with mistakes like they're doing it on purpose. You have the signs of an innovator when they talking about two entirely different times and people with two entirely different understandings. You understand? So that's why, like, sometimes they say people need teachers, but this is some things that we need to understand. So look as it continues, right? And the signs of the heretics, the zindiqs, the Muslims who still have Christian beliefs, who have Christian ways or Buddhist ways, right? They got a little bit of the religion they believed in before. You part Jehovah Witness and you part Muslim. You part Moorish American and you part Muslim. You part Nation of Islam and you part Muslim. Nation of Islam. They always love to say we ain't Muslims. Okay. But because you want to use a definition of Muslim from a weak English translation. What's a Muslim? One who submits to the will of Allah? Wait a minute. But Allah is a spook, right? Did you submit to the will of who you refer to as a spook? Or are you submitting to the will of Fard Muhammad? Make it make sense. That's why a person could say, no, you're not a Muslim. Because you call Allah a spook. He is spook. Allah is a spook mystery God. But a Muslim is one who submits to the will of Allah by your definition. We know to the true Arabic, a Muslim is one that has Islam. Just like a mu'min is one that has Iman. And a Muslim is one who has Ihsan. Okay? It's really a poor English translation. But again, Allah is a spook. So how did you submit to the will of him? Make it make sense. want to be part Muslim, right? You want to have Islamic terminology, but the ways and the beliefs of things that totally contradict what Islam comes with. But then, because you can't combat it with intellect and real intelligence, you have to downplay it. Oh, well, that's just the Arab version. That's Quran, Sunnah, Ijma'. That's Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma'. Let's continue. So, and the signs of the Zindiq is they say that Ahl Sunnah is worthless. The people who on the Sunnah, the people who follow Sunni Islam, they worthless. Kind of like how they say that Sunni Islam don't work for us. And that's how they face be looking. That Sunni Islam don't work for us. Don't nobody follow no Sunnah. That's man-made. All we need is the Quran. But then you look at their belief system and their actions, where it come from. Okay? So this is some of the signs of Ahlul Bid'ah and Zindiqs. Muslims, people who claim to be Muslims, but their whole belief system goes against Islam. Moorish Americans. Oh, we can't call ourselves Muslims, but we're going to say we Muslims. Although we claim in the Moors, who prophet was Prophet Muhammad, the Moors in Spain, how Noble Drew Ali, the prophet of some people that he come 100 years after. How the Moors come before the prophet? Oh, but that's Islamism. You want to follow that dirty Arab stuff. I'm just saying, make it make sense. How did the Moors, who was Muslims of color, ruling Spain, teaching Islam, establishing masjids, establishing Sharia, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was their prophet. How did Noble Drew Ali come as a prophet to the Moors after them? Now you have some people who will say, well, if Jesus was a Muslim and this was a Muslim, how did Muhammad come after them? Because you don't understand what Islam is. Not somebody that was up on the way that Allah gave them, where they actually had the religion that He gave them, which made them a believer. But anyway, let me close this out, right? So they call Ahl Sunnah worthless. Them Sunni Muslims, they worthless. Stay out of their masjids and keep them out of ours. They don't bear any fruit. Right? And they desire to nullify hadith. They desire to nullify hadith. Why? Because they use Islamic terminology, we Muslims. But what they believe not only contradicts Islam, right? Not only contradicts Islam, it's bits and pieces from other things that didn't even come from Allah. That didn't even come from Allah. And the signs of the Jahmiyyah, which is a deviant sect that's still around, is calling Ahl Sunnah. Well, we won't get into that part. Let me go into this little section. But This is their creed. So they breaking down, giving you a general view. This is how the Salaf of Salih, the righteous one, this is what the Rasul taught them. Even Bilal, who wasn't an Arab, where a lot of people, when you understand Islamic history, there were some Persians who came. There was a lot of people who came and established Islam. They helped establish Islam. This is for everybody. If your religion is only for one group of people, whether you're black, whether it's only for the whites, whether it's only for the Mexicans, whether it's only for the Jews, whether it's only for the blacks, if it's only for the blacks from Morocco, and if it's only from the blacks that we can identify as 12 tribes from Israel, the religion is only for those people. It didn't come from Allah. Because what Allah sends down is for everybody. Because we are children of Adam. This is the creed of the Salaf, man. This is what Islam teaches. This is how they understood it. Now look at this right here. Let me continue with this right here. Abu Muhammad, this is the son of Abu Hatim, right? And I heard my father and Abu Zur'a commanding. Now this is where another people fall into the wrong type of way. Fleeing from the people of deviations. So these is people who is up on deviation because they, at this time, because they rejected things from the Quran, like we're going to say that the Quran is created. This is a deviation. We're going to say these things about Allah that Allah didn't say about Himself. This is a deviation. Okay? After they try to educate these people and they reject the education, yes, they flee from them. If you see them walking down the street getting beat up, do you leave him to get beat up because you know he a Muslim? You know that he prays 5 times to Allah. Where's the line drawn? What exactly is the deviation? Is it something that take them out of the fold of Islam? Is it a mistake in understanding that can be cleared up with a conversation and education? What's the rules of engagement? You got to know the rules of how to engage the level and where this person is. But some people go straight to, yeah, because poor education, man. Or proper education, but poor understanding of said education. Right? And people of innovation. Clear-cut innovation. But again, what's the rules of engagement? Is this an innovation that take them out of the fold of Islam? Is this an innovation that can be cleared up with a conversation? What's the rules of engagement? Not you doing something and we don't understand it, we don't know what's to it, so now we're going to declare you an innovator and turn everybody against you. But then turn around and say, take from Ahmed ibn Hanbal. But what they're doing, they took it from Ahmed ibn Hanbal. But you done declared them a deviant and an innovator while saying take from Ahmed ibn Hanbal. These are mistakes. But look what it says though. So they was very stern with this command. Flee from them, man. Get up away from around them. Don't mistreat them. You ain't got to cuss them out. What's the rules of engagement first? You ain't got to tell everybody to hate them. You haven't even had a conversation with these people yet. You haven't even sat down with them peacefully, no harshfulness, to say, let's just get to the bottom of this situation. I do things like this, and this is where it comes from. You doing what you're doing, where did that come from? And when they sit down and say, oh man, this is in the madhab of Ahmed Ibn Hanbal, now you got to pause. Now you got to pause. Because now who's making a mistake? Not saying that it's not, it might be some innovation though. But at the same time, it may have came from Imam Malik though. What's the rules of engagement? Because you say take from Imam Malik, and what they doing, they took from Imam Malik. So people, because they was harsh and stern on this, they treat them harshly, but in the wrong way. You haven't even had a civil, decent, level-minded, level-headed conversation with these people. It's just straight to mistreatment. Because some people misread or misunderstand the movement and the ways from people of the past. So look what else it says, right? So they were stern and harsh in that, with the most severe harshness. But because they are still dealing with Muslims, that's we talking about still in the fold of Islam. Because you really got to know the true definition of bid'ah. Okay? And what's a true deviation? Some people up on mistakes. Not these people have been labeled as this because we have a misunderstanding. We done mislabeled them because our understanding is off. And now the Salaf would just totally dismiss them and treat them with bad manners. This is not what this means. But look, and they refused. This is the Salaf, man. And these imams coming into the fourth generation, they refused the compilations of books with opinions, which would be referred to as books of fiqh. Yeah. Madhab books. They refused the compilation of books of opinions that had no hadith or athar to solidify the opinion that they chose. So if this person wrote, this is my madhab, this is what I got in it, but they didn't have an authentic hadith, or they didn't at least have an athar from Abu Bakr, from Umar, from Uthman, from Ali, may Allah be pleased with them all and have mercy on them all. If they didn't have some sound athar, if they didn't have ijma from these Sahaba, they refused to even deal with these books. But what are we taught today? And some of the people who rejected it, some of their sayings have lived on. So like I say, right now you have people who say we don't need hadith because they up on a mistake. It's not with a malicious intent. Not saying everybody. Some people it is malicious. Oh, Hadith is superstition because it's Arab. Hadith superstition because it proves me wrong. See, them malicious people. We talking about people who just up on mistakes. The rules of engagement is different. So look what else it says, right? And they forbade from sitting with the people of theological rhetoric. Now, according to some rules of fiqh, theological rhetoric can be used as delil, and some people will refer to it as what? Qiyas. Qiyas. Now, if it's some theological rhetoric upon Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and doesn't go against any of that, that's a different thing. I'm going to give y'all an example. So, in fiqh, not fiqh of the madhab, fiqh of the religion, the culture, as long as the culture doesn't go against Islam, the culture of your society is took into account. For Eid al-Fitr in Medina and Mecca, which was a desert, the food of the people wasn't always meat outside of Ramadan. Hold on, man. Let me pull up something real quick. Hold on, let me pull up a definition of something real quick. Now, alhamdulillah. So, they had what they ate. So what they gave, they didn't have refrigerators, freezers, right? It wasn't a lot of reeling in seafood and different things. So they gave from what they had. But when you look at the hadiths, where it talk about different African countries, they ate and gave something different from Eid al-Fitr. So if you in an area where they eat, let's say for instance, like Jamaica or the Caribbean or something, where they eat what they call rice and peas or pigeon peas, right? This is a staple food to them. But then you go to another area where they might eat stuffed baked potatoes. Stuffed baked potatoes, we love mashed potatoes, we love stuffed baked potatoes, but then you want to say, well, where we from, all they have is rice and peas. So we have to give you rice and peas even though you don't even eat rice and peas. That's how some people understand Eid al-Fitr. And then they cloak it under staple foods. So even when you go and look up staple foods, right? One thing that it says is this. The specific staple foods vary by region, depending on climate, local agriculture, condition, and cultural traditions. Here, as far as African Americans, a lot of African Americans eat Roman noodles. Roman noodles is a staple food. But they'll tell you can't give Roman noodles. You got to give cereal. You got to give rice. But they don't eat rice. They don't even know how to cook rice if it's not instant. But they know how to eat Roman noodles. You can't get in Roman noodles. I'm saying that to say, because the culture, what's the staple food of this region when it comes to fiqh, not the madhabs, fiqh of the religion, the culture of the people is to be taken into account. So, some theological reasoning, not rhetoric, you have to analyze that region in accordance with Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma, and say, when it comes to the African American, man, you're going to find some Roman noodles in the majority of African American households, if it's some young people in there. You're going to find Doritos and chips. These are staple foods in our region. When you come to things where they say that can't be refrigerated, but if they had refrigerators and freezers, maybe they would have gave refrigerated and frozen meat. But in the hadith, they gave from what they ate. So I'm giving that example because those is when that analytical reason can come in, but it's still based off Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma. So they didn't sit with the people who did theological reasoning and discuss theological rhetoric that wasn't based off Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma. Like, we're going to take this ayat and say because of this ayat, Allah can't see, hear, the Quran can't be his words. That's theological rhetoric. So they forbade other people to sit with these people, because if you're not strong enough, you might be influenced. They might say something that might get in you, right? And speculation, ahlul kalam, this speculating and going too far above reasoning and just creating a whole nother thought process about the deen of Islam, right? And looking into the books of philosophers, okay, and they would both say, both Razis, right? The person of theological rhetoric will never prosper. Now, do that mean they won't have money? Do that mean they won't have material? No. They might have more material. They might look good to the standards of the kuffar more than other Muslims. But are they prospering Islamically? Nope. Nope. I'm a Muslim, but I'm going to teach that the black man is God because this book that's called the Bible says on this day, therefore, I created you in my image and likeness, therefore ye are gods. And being that the first person was created out of mud, right? When you really have to look at the verse and see, was it speaking to Adam? Okay? Therefore, ye are gods, and since they was created out of mud, that means the original person was black. Therefore, the black man is God. See, this is kalam. And then you're going to take that, you're a Muslim, and you're going to take this nonsense out of a book that clearly didn't come from Allah. Who wrote that? Who taught you that? This white man did. Oh, how come he ain't a devil? How can he be a devil when he's Allah in person? This is speculation. You know what I'm saying? And not to offend nobody. You know what I'm saying? But Islamically, there's no prospering in that. A couple of business, some suits, some shiny shoes, like the kuffar, a little sophisticated version of church on Sunday. See, Islam ain't working for you, nigger, you Negroes. You know, that's how Islam ain't working for you, Negroes. You color folk. It's only working for us. What Islam is it? What Islam is it? They don't prosper. Islamically. Okay? So, just to go through and show how the Salaf really dealt with things and how they view certain things, right? But when you go through this, you will see throughout time how they all had these same views, and like it shows with these two and some of them, they only approved of the Shafi'i madhab and the Hanbali madhab because they at least had hadith and athar to go with the majority of what they had going on. But not to say other people should feel any other type of way. You have to have some discernment and have some Islamic education about yourself so that you can identify the rules of engagement. So that you can identify the rules of engagement. So anyway, man, this went long enough. And so for y'all brothers, now that we starting to ease into how the Salaf seen things, not where you gonna feel like the Salaf is just a bitter, harsh group that didn't like anybody but them. No, if that was a Muslim that was needy, they still did certain things if they were still in the fold of Islam. Why? Because even when it was Muslims that had certain type of beliefs and moved certain type of ways, even if they was hypocrites and other Muslims wanted to chop their heads off, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? Don't they make salah? This person truly loves Allah. And this person truly loves me. And they make salah 5 times a day. Therefore, you have to be just with them. How are you going to be just with them and you never identify the rules of engagement? So, that's not what the Salaf was all about, man. It isn't. It isn't. And feeling like in order to be Salafi, you got to have all this harshness towards everybody else who you ain't seen do anything wrong yet. The only thing they did wrong is not say that they're Salafi like you. But then you're around other Salafis that you watch do wrong. And you say nothing. That's not being just. And this is not what the Salaf and what being Salafi is all about. It isn't. So anyway, man, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.